Okay, good afternoon, everybody and students. Nice to see you in this Zoom meeting. I'm glad to be here also using this technology information. I hope that the topic beef cattle business process can provide an overview of the condition of local cattle in Indonesia, especially case in East Nusa Tenggara province, which one of our province that known as a barn of cattle. By the way, because of the result of pandemic, the positive side is that we can meet in a virtual space from various countries without having to go to other countries. I'm grateful to have met with you, and this is not the last meeting, but the beginning for the next agenda. Okay, I hope that the relationship can be continued into various other activities in the context of friendship, student exchange, and other activities. For this situation, I apologize at this virtual meeting for not being able to present this material directly because at the same time, there were other important activities to be carried out. The material that I convey has been made onto YouTube so that you can see it anytime and anywhere. Okay, before I continue the material, I would like to present, okay, wait a moment. Okay, okay, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ahmad Firman. You can call me Firman. I'm a Chief Department of Social Economics, and Animal Husbandry Faculty, Universitas Padjadjaran. Uh, by the way, I look so young at these photos. Okay, perhaps this is 8 years ago. Okay, I don't want to talk too much. Let's go to the topic. The topic that will be discussed is okay. Yeah, the topic will be discussed is related to the cattle business. I divided this topic into 4 parts, namely introduction to local beef, introduction to local beef cattle business process, beef cattle agribusiness management, um, live cattle and beef marketing channels, and local cattle case in East Nusa Tenggara. Okay, let's move. Introduction to local beef cattle business process. Okay, to understand the storyline in the subtopics, I divided into 3 sections. 3 sections, namely introduction to local beef cattle, introduction to beef cattle business, and introduction to beef local player. And this is topic, sorry, this is the subtopics can deliver to understand the next slide. Okay, introduction to local beef cattle. What is the livestock? What is livestock and local cattle? Of course, this is word and they have a different meaning. Okay, what is livestock? Livestock is well defined as a domesticated animal raised in agricultural environments to produce labor and commodities such as meat, eggs, milk, leather, bones, offal, or inert, and also wool. And local cattle are native species which are pure breed or cattle breed resulting from crosses between imported cattle and local cattle. Cited from Sutarno and Setiawan 2016. Okay. So it can be concluded that the local cattle are pure cattle breeds originating from an area or local cattle are result of the crossbreeding between local cattle and immigrant cattle. The result of the crosses can be said to be local cattle. I don't want to discuss this section deeply because this is not my area of study. This is just to lead you to understand the next section step by step. Okay, next look slide. Wait, yes, you can see that as I said before, local cattle are purebred or the result crossbreeding. So if you look at the map, Indonesian map, I think, you can see various local cattle breeds in Indonesia. Okay, look at the left side, the first. We see Aceh cattle from Aceh province. Okay, this is the local cattle from Aceh province. This is cattle is the resulting of crossbreeding between Bos indicus and Bos sondaicus. What is Bos indicus and Bos sondaicus? Bos sondaicus or zebu has a characteristic hump originating from India and some spread to various countries, especially to tropical areas such as Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, Africa, America, and Australia. Boson dicus, this group is the original source of Indonesian cattle. Not only Aceh cattle, but also Kuantan cattle, Pasundan cattle, Galekan cattle, PO cattle or Ongol crossbreed, and Donggala cattle, and etc. All of these are resulting of crossbreeding. Okay, you can see that the local cattle is very, very various in its local area in Indonesia. Okay, I think, do you know Bali? I think, I guess that you are very, very know that the word Bali, because this is one province of Indonesia, and of course the island, this Bali Island, the world famous tourist destination. Bali is one of the provinces in Indonesia. Bali has a pure cattle breed. It's called Bali cattle. Bali cattle are included in the Bos Sondaicus class, other pure breed of originating from Indonesia, and Madura cattle, and passenger cattle or coastal cattle. Now we already know the kinds of local cattle in Indonesia. Actually, in history of the spread of cattle in Indonesia. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Wait a moment. Okay. Introduction, still introduction to local beef cattle. Historical local cattle in Indonesia. As I said before, purebred that exist in Indonesia are Bali cattle, Madura cattle, coastal cattle, or passenger cattle. Other cattle are the result of crossbreeding with immigrant cattle, especially from India. Why India to be concerned? Since 7th century, India and Indonesia, it called Nusantara at that time, has established a trade relationship. At the time, trade was carried out by sea. The coast became a place for ships to dock for trade. One of the traded commodities is cattle. The originating cattle from India, such as Ongol cattle, Zebu cattle, Brahman cattle. The result of the cattle trade led to crossbreeding between local cattle and immigrant cattle. That's the situation. The local cattle in Indonesia, the pure breed, and the rest, crossbreeding result. This is interesting storyline because the existence of cattle has a high commodity value in society. Next slide, we'll find how cattle is a valuable commodity. Okay, wait. Okay. Why are cattle a valuable commodity? Because this commodity contributes to provision of animal protein for human. That's why. Yes. And to get this commodity, you have to buy it. We have to sacrifice our resources in the form of the amount of money paid. Second, in the context of commodity, you can eat cattle directly. You cannot. I think you cannot eat cattle directly. Just imagine if you can eat cows directly, it means you are carnivore. Therefore, in order to this product to be on the table, there are several processes that must be carried out first. The first step is to ensure that um, that that the cow to be slaughtered in healthy by the medical team. Okay. Um, then the cow is slaughtered at the abattoir. Then the blood is removed, skinned, and extracted. Next, the beef is cut into several pieces according to market demand, such as separating meat from bones. I mean, before being marketed, the medical team re-examines the health of products from the beef slaughter, so that the products will be sold are safe, healthy, and in Muslim countries must have halal criteria or halal certificate to ensure that the meat is good and safe. After that, the products of cattle are marketed and distributed to local market or modern market, then raised to the table of cooking. Okay, next slide. Okay, you can see that the role of cattle commodities for agricultural commodities in Indonesia. Okay, uh, I have already discussed that one of the rule of cattle is as a source of food with contain protein. Some of you, there are those who cannot eat beef because it is forbidden by religion or ethnicity or other rules. We must respect that because it is of everyone's right. Secondly, some agricultural communities in Indonesia consider cattle as saving. Why? Because cattle are kept only as a side business. Cattle is a liquid asset because it can be sold if a farmer need it. Generally, farmers sell cattle for the needs of wedding ceremony, building houses, fees for going to Hajj, school fees, traditional ceremonies, and others. Thirdly, cattle are used as a sacrificial animal on Eid al-Adha for most Muslims. Of course, in Indonesia, about 90% Muslim. Ahead of Eid al-Adha, generally the price of cattle increase sharply. This gives big profit for the cattle sellers. There are also cattle used for funeral ceremonies. These are several traditions in Indonesia that use cattle for this. The cattle are slaughtered and distributed to the who are visiting the funeral home. In coastal communities, there is a tradition drowning of head of cattle into the sea. This ceremony is a hereditary tradition carried out by the community. This ceremony is intended to be grateful for the marine product they get. Last, last but not least, cattle can be used as labor. They are used as a mean of transportation, plowing rice field, or as a transporter of good. So that's the rule of cattle communities, especially in Indonesia. Maybe some part of rules have the same or similar with the other countries. Okay, next slide. Okay, introduce beef cattle business. Indonesia has been known as agricultural country because most of its people work in the agribusiness sector. Agricultural is the main business of the family, especially rice farming. In addition, farmers usually have livestock that are rice, such as cattle. Thus, the cattle only as a side business for farmer. The companies that participate in the cattle industry are focused on fattening imported cattle. This beef fattening cattle. Sorry, this beef cattle. This cattle fattening company, we are called feedlotter, began to grow in the 1980s. Okay, because the 1980s. So they import feeder cattle from the various countries, especially from Australia, because Australia is chosen as a place to buy feeder cattle because this country is free from food and mouth disease. But today in Indonesia, because the regulation, I think, yeah, because the regulation, Indonesia allow to import frozen meat from India and other countries, but underline that must be zone free from foot and mouth disease. That's the underline. Okay. Okay, the next slide is about cattle player, the actors who involved in this industry. Okay, you can see the table. We can identify business actors in the beef cattle industry in Indonesia, namely farmers and firms. Farmers are the most of beef cattle players. Meanwhile, there are several companies that invest in cattle fattening business. The difference between farmers and companies in the beef cattle industry can be seen in the following table. Okay, so you can see that farmers dominate cattle industry because 90% of layers are farmers, while the companies are the rest. Okay, you can see. Okay, the number of layers, majority for farmer, the firm that's minority, about 10%. Business cattle or small cattle, and the farm, of course, the large cattle with the capital, big capital, but farmer just limited capital. Then, and the labor, you can see that farmer using family labor, and firm is using the skilled labor or farm personnel. And the position of the bargaining position. to the market, I think farmers have a low beginning position, but firm high bargaining position. That's our condition for player or actors who involved in the cattle industry in Indonesia. This is the last slide for introduction to local beef cattle business process. Okay, we can see the next slide. Okay, beef cattle agribusiness management. Okay, because before I continue the what is beef cattle business, what is the agribusiness management, I would like to introduce two parts: agribusiness system and beef cattle agribusiness. Okay, in this part I'm going to talk about concept or definition of agribusiness. Okay, next slide. Yes, so okay, what is agribusiness? Agribusiness is the sum total of operation involved in the manufacturing and distribution of farm supplies, production activities on the farm, and the storage, processing, and distribution of farm commodities and items made from them. I was cited from Dapis and Goldberg, 1957. And another definition, agribusiness is one unified agribusiness system consisting of several subsystems, such as procurement and distribution of products and facilities subsystem, farming or primary production subsystem, processing subsystem, marketing subsystem, and agribusiness supporting institution subsystem. From Suharjo, 1997, cited by Gumbira and Intan, 2004. Okay. So with the definition, we can conclude that the agribusiness is a unified system of various subsystems in order to create value for agribusiness product. That's a conclusion that I try to make the conclusion the agribusiness like that. Okay, next slide is about, okay, this is agribusiness system. I tried to convey from the Gumbira, the definition of Gumbira. Okay. We can see that the description the agribusiness system in the form of illustration. So every subsystem in it is related to each other in product creation. If the system is formed in one company, then the company moved from upstream to downstream. It needs big capital to build companies such like this. Or another strategy to collaborate with other companies which has the similar product to join in building system. One company work in input products, one company work in farming, one company work in processing, one company work in marketing, then one company work in financial support. That's why I said that the system can be divided into part subsystem. So the subsystem can be one company, but it is a very huge capital, but you can join with the other company to make agribusiness system such like this. Okay, next slide. Okay, live cattle and beef marketing channels. This section I would like to explain about the channel, the marketing channel, especially live cattle and beef, I think. First, we can see that, yeah, of course, you can see that the cattle density map in the world by FAO 2023. Okay, areas with cattle density above 50 head per square kilometer, such as the USA, Latin America, Africa, Europe, India, China, and Australia. These countries are beef cattle supplier countries for other countries. I think the countries known as a barn of cattle, I think. Okay, next slide is Indonesia. Okay, density in Indonesia. Meanwhile, Indonesia is a country with a cattle density of less than 500 per square kilometer. The total population of beef cattle is less than 8 million head, even though the total human population is approximately 270 million people. Meanwhile, the population of Australia is 26 million people, while the total population of cattle is 25 million heads. So the total population of cattle and humans is almost the same. Therefore, every year Indonesia imports about 700,000 head of cattle and 100,000 tons of frozen meat from Australia. But today Indonesia can import frozen meat from India, and also in short time Indonesia will import frozen meat from Brasilia. So it is a huge economy. Indonesia have a lot of money for these commodities. So this is a good economy for Indonesia, import, and of course for consumer meat. I think meat consumption for Indonesia is very meat consumption, especially beef consumption, is very huge, because we have 270,000 people must eat meat. So okay. Next slide. The illustration reveals the trend of meat consumption in 5 countries. Sorry, next slide is okay. Okay, next slide, we can see that the live cattle marketing channel. Okay, how does Indonesia meet beef needs? Of course, there are 2 sources of beef supply, namely domestic supply and import supply. The national demand for beef can be met from domestic supply by 70%. The rest come from imports. One of the areas that become a source of domestic cattle supply is East Nusa Tenggara, and also East Java. Okay, you can see that the yellow one. Okay, East Nusa Tenggara and East Java. Okay, this is the barn of cattle for Indonesia, especially for the area, the consumption area, like the Jakarta, East Java, West Java, Kalimantan, Sumatra, and Sulawesi. Jakarta and West Java are the region with the highest demand for beef in Indonesia. Okay, Australia is one of the exporting countries for live cattle and frozen meat for Indonesia. Okay, the total live cattle exported to Indonesia are approximately 1.1 million heads per year, including frozen meat, which is converted to live cattle units. Okay, thus there is a large amount of capital flying to Australia to buy live cattle and frozen meat. Meanwhile, India has also become a frozen meat exporting country for Indonesia, but the supply is not as much as Australia. The destination of frozen meat export from India is Jakarta. There's a picture of the marketing channel for live cattle and frozen meat in Indonesia. Okay, next slide, live cattle and beef distribution channel. The distribution of live cattle and beef can be seen in the figure. Okay, the picture shows that there are several actors of cattle communities that play a role in the distribution channel, namely farmer and fattening companies as live cattle producers. Then market players such as local traders, wholesalers, and retailers. Slaughterhouse play an important role in the providing safe, healthy, and halal beef. Therefore, many actors work in the cattle industry. This is this is proof that the cattle industry can provide quite a lot of jobs in all channels distribution. Okay, next slide. Wait a moment. Yes. This is the last part in our section, in our lecture. So, okay. This section I want to describe about East Nusa Tenggara province, as known as a barn of cattle for Indonesia. I had research and studied livestock in East Nusa Tenggara, especially cattle commodity for 3 years from 2018 and 2002. Okay, okay, wait a moment. Okay, we are flying from Jakarta to Kupang. Okay, okay, Nusa Tenggara, Nusa Tenggara Timur province or it's, I think, is, okay, sorry. East Nusa Tenggara province, okay. Okay, good. East Nusa Tenggara province, as known as the barn cattle Indonesia. This is the part province of Indonesia near to Bali, also near to Bali, near to West Nusa Tenggara province. Accustomed to raising cow with a pastoral system, cattle ownership per farmer is more than 40 heads, and also the rice cattle using the grazing system. So the cattle just I think the people said that the cattle nurtured by nurtured by nature. Yeah, nurtured by nature. That's the word in East Nusa Tenggara people. Okay. And also there are two largest islands that are center of cattle production is Nusa Tenggara, namely the islands of Sumba and Timor. These two islands supply cattle for domestic and national demand. The cattle rearing system carried out by farmer is pastoral system, what I said before. Cattle are allowed to live wild in the savanna all year round. So I said that nurtured by nature. Farmers do not give any feed or treatment to their cattle. They leave it to nature completely. Generally, farmers have more than 40 heads. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Next slide. Sorry, there's no. In the following picture, we can see the development of live cattle production 2014 and 2002. The number of cattle leaving the province is transported via cattle carried from two ports, namely Winnie and Tenau ports. These two ports serve 5 cattle transport ships every week. The provincial government sets a quota for cattle expenditure every year. This is intended to regulate the balance of supply and demand for live cattle. Okay, this is the last section. Before closing, please your question and deliver. Please your question can deliver to moderator. Sorry, and I will answer the question as soon as possible. So before close this material, I want to show you the cases, beef cattle cases in Indonesia, especially in East Nusa Tenggara, and you can watch the film that I made before. Okay, thank you everyone, and I think I hope that you can enjoy my material, and I'm so sorry because I cannot attend this Zoom directly because of the condition. Thank you very much, for students.